We all know information moves at the speed of light, right? Well, in financial markets, that speed can create or destroy fortunes in a heartbeat. But what happens when that information is just a flat-out lie? Today, we're going to dive into some really cool research on how to teach an AI to be a specialist detective sniffing out financial fake news with a new model called FinFakeBERT.
Okay, look at this number, $3.6 trillion. Let that sink in for a second. That isn't a country's budget. Nope, that's the amount of market value that was basically created out of thin air in just 30 minutes. And it was all because of one single piece of fake news.
So this is where that number comes from. The research paper highlights this absolutely wild event, and it just goes to show you how fragile our financial systems can be when it comes to disinformation. I mean, think about it. A single, unverified rumor adds trillions to the market. The impact isn't some far-off theory, it's immediate, and it is immense.
And that's the bottom line, really. The financial stakes here are just enormous. We're not just talking about some misleading headlines online. We're talking about market stability and the potential for huge, intentional manipulation. So being able to detect these lies, yeah, that's critically important.
So that brings us to the real technical puzzle here. If we have AI that can spot fake news in general, why does it seem to fall apart when it comes to finance? Well, the problem has a name. It's called domain. Let's break that down. It's the big question, isn't it? We've got these super powerful AI models trained on millions of articles. You'd think they could spot a financial fake from a mile away, but they often can't. And the reason why is a concept called domain shift. Put simply, domain shift is what happens when you take an AI that's an expert in one thing and then you ask it to do a job in a totally new field. The lingo, the context, all the subtle clues, it's all different. The AI just gets confused and its performance completely tanks.
Now this slide has a fantastic analogy to make this crystal clear. Think of a general fake news AI as an expert on art forgeries. They're amazing at spotting fake paintings. They know the canvas, the brush strokes, the whole deal. But if you hand them a counterfeit $20 bill, they're going to miss it. Why? Because they're trained on the wrong stuff. They know paint, not paper and ink. It's the exact same thing with AI. To catch financial fakes, you need a specialist.
And that is exactly what this research set out to do: build a specialist AI detective just for finance. So this is where we finally meet the hero of our story, a new model they call FinFakeBERT.
The way they trained it is actually pretty brilliant. First, they take a powerful base AI and train it on a massive pile of general fake news. That creates a really solid generalist detective, which they call CDFakeBERT. But then, and this is the key part, they take that generalist and put it through a specialist academy. They trained it again, this time on a much smaller but super specific set of financial news, and that's what turns it into the expert we need, FinFakeBERT.
And get this, what's in that specialist toolkit? This is so important. For the fake articles, they didn't just grab random stuff off the internet. Nope, they used 233 articles that were officially identified as fraudulent in actual U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission indictments. That's about as real world as you can get. Then they balanced that with 233 legit articles from top-tier sources like Bloomberg and Reuters.
Okay, so they've trained their specialist. Now for the moment of truth. How well does it actually do its job compared to the generalist models? Let's put them to the test.
Now, before we see the numbers, we have to understand the most important report card grade here, the false positive rate, or FPR. This basically measures how often the AI cries wolf, how often it flags a real news story as fake. In the world of finance, a high FPR is a total disaster. It could spark panic and mess with the markets just by wrongly flagging legitimate news.
Okay, now look at this. A standard fake news model had a false positive rate of over 23%. That means it was wrong nearly 1 out of every 4 times on real news. That's just unusable. Even the researcher's own generalist AI was at about 3.9%. But check out the specialist, FinFakeBERT. It drops that error rate all the way down to just 2.1%. And this bar chart just says it all, doesn't it? I mean, look at that massive bar on the left. That's the old model's error rate. The specialist training just slashes it down. You can literally see how effective this whole targeted training approach is. This is the number that really matters, 2.1%. By training a specialist, these researchers created a model that is so much more reliable, so much less likely to cause chaos by flagging real news. It is a huge step forward toward making a tool you could actually use in the real world.
So, we have this really impressive technical result, but what does it all mean? What's the real-world impact here? Why does having a smarter financial AI matter so much?
Well, the takeaway really comes down to three big things. First, by not constantly crying wolf, it protects investor confidence. Second, that reliability helps keep the whole market more stable. And third, and this might be the most important part looking forward, as AI gets scarily good at creating fake news, this shows us how we can build the sophisticated defenses we're going to need to fight back.
And this quote from the paper just hits the nail on the head. See, most news is real, so you can't have a system that's making mistakes all the time. Your detector needs to be like a surgeon, able to find that one tiny bit of fake news that can cause all that damage without messing everything else up.
Which, of course, leaves us with one final and really crucial question. This research is a fantastic step forward, for sure. But as the AI that creates the fakes gets better and better, the real challenge is going to be staying one step ahead in this crazy technological arms race between deception and detection.